Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday morning. Feels like it's 100 years later already. I'm so exhausted. Um, we are on our 96th episode of Wrestling Radio Relived, and it's such a wonderful journey, an amazing journey. We are so incredibly happy. Wanted to say real quick, I actually met David last night. What a really nice person. We had a wonderful time. It was so crazy. I've never been to a hibachi restaurant, never.
Did you
And
like it?
oh my god, I have a video I have to send you. I took a video of it where the guy like literally started a fire right in
Yeah,
front of us. Oh my god, I've never done that before, ever. It
yeah,
was
yeah. It's
amazing. Yes.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes, so we met and we decided to have some dinner there and whatever. Um and it was wonderful. It really was. And David, this guy's a talented guy. He was sharing some things with me last night that he is planning on doing in the future, and I got to tell you, very talented, very, very, very amazing. But it was great. I had a great time. It was so much fun. So
Good.
thank you. I appreciate it, David. I appreciate you. And another thank you again to Chuck Langerman. This guy, every time I talk to him too, he comes up with these incredible ideas, and it's crazy. Anybody out there that's got any ideas with regard to how to move wrestling radio forward, that would be awesome as well. I wanted to thank everybody for the response from last week's episode for Paul. A lot of people who knew Paul said that they loved the podcast. It was one of the best that we've ever done. And the funny thing is, I said to Chuck last night or the day before, I said, he goes, it was planned out so well. And I said, you know what? The funny thing about it wasn't planned at all. I said, we flew literally by the seat of our pants. But because when you know somebody,
Yeah.
it's not difficult to come up with stuff. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And the people who did not know Paul commented and said that we painted a true to life picture of him, where he was so easy to understand the kind of person that he was. And, it's a shame because he would never come on the radio. Even when we started this podcast, Joel and I, when Joel told you he wanted him to come to the matches, but I was on the phone with him like, Paul, just do one podcast, just do one. Nah, can't do it. Don't want to do it. Can't do it. I can just hear him doing it. That the way he's nah, and shake his head. But anyway, Rich, did you see that podcast?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
Well, if you get a chance, you should watch the whole thing. It was touching. It was a great one to
It
do.
was.
And I'm getting ahead of myself here, Rich. I'm sorry. We want to welcome Rich Swarttz. I'm really, really lacking today. Very tired. It's so good to see you again. I'm so glad you're back again. How have you been?
I've been great. Thanks. Thanks for
Good.
having me on again.
Oh,
The first episode you had me on was episode 9.
wow.
Episode
Wow.
9.
Wow. That was almost 90 episodes ago.
That's right. That's right.
Wow,
And
that's crazy. Well, we
yeah,
can't let
and
another 90 go by, Rich, before you come back, okay? You got to come back again soon. Um,
well, we could go every 9. That would be that'd be
yeah,
fine
every
with me.
9, yeah. Well, it's funny because Rich also, you send me incredible videos, YouTube stuff, like all the time, and I watch them. Believe me when I tell you, I do. But the thing is like there's some of them that I was actually there, from the arena, from the Spectrum, from and they brought back so many memories, like it's crazy. But I do love watching those videos. They're awesome. Rich sends me a bunch of stuff like Bruno Sammartino, when he did this or he did that, and the incredible stuff that you send is like such a jog to my memory. It's pretty cool. I like it. So tell me, what makes you so interested in watching wrestling from the past?
Well, that's what I grew up on. That's how I became obsessed, if that's the probably the best word you could use as it relates to my love of professional wrestling. It started in the 60s, and it's the one thing in my life that I've never lost interest in. And I don't think I've ever in my life ever missed a week of wrestling in whatever shape or form or channel or whatever. And there's these various if you do a search on YouTube, and then once you get to a video, and you start watching it, then YouTube remembers what you watched, and then it starts showing you, similar videos. So some of the stuff I was sending you is from the old days where championship wrestling was from the Philadelphia Arena originally, and I remember it was 45th and Market Street, and I would
Mhm.
go to the tapings, and they would do 3 weeks at one time, and then they moved to Allentown, and then they moved to Hamburg. But a lot of the stuff that I watch are the interviews, because that's my form of comedy. That's my form of entertainment. And there's one that I have saved in my playlist. It's with Freddie Blassie insulting this guy in the front row in Hamburg and saying all these things about him. And you could see Vince, he lowers his head and almost puts his arm up while he's holding the mic, because he doesn't want to be seen that he's laughing
He's
hysterically.
laughing.
And
Yeah.
it's so funny, and I just keep watching it back and forth almost every day, just to get my bit of comedy. And then there's Lou Albano. Some of his interviews are just priceless, and he's always insulting McMahon, and he's
Mhm.
stupid, and he says, "Hold the mic up, you dummy," or stuff like.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
always insulting him, and to me, that's my form of comedy, and that's what draws me back to the old days.
See, I wish a lot of people would look at that stuff, because the old days were amazing. And we had like a kind of like a Paul Heyman from a million years ago. You know what I mean? We had the like you said, the Freddie Blassies, the Lou Albanos, the Jimmy Harts, the Bobby Heenans. Like every so many years, there was one of those managers, uh, talkers for wrestlers or whatever, and each one of them had their own
Well,
shtick, their own.
yeah, I'm sure Paul Heyman took from each one of those to create
Oh,
what he became.
absolutely. Well, yeah, because Paul
So
was around.
it
Yeah,
was yeah, because he was around back then. Well, I mean, he was a kid, but
yeah,
it was and that's because it was so good, and everybody always like loved that stuff.
yeah. It was
So, and
great.
he definitely just took it all in, to do his own. But yeah.
And I think what he did was he incorporated, like Jeannie said, everything. Like when Freddie Blassie used to file his teeth, and he used to call people pencil neck geek, and Lou Albano had the rubber band on his beard, and Jimmy Hart had the megaphone and
Megaphone.
all that. Yeah, but what Paul Heyman I think did is he incorporated it into everything that he does, and then he kind of made it 21st century 2025 appropriate things to do. Like he doesn't particularly insult a fan like they did, because you can't really do that much today. So what he does is he insults the entire arena, or other wrestlers in the same proximity, which I think is good. Everything today has to be kind of more PC than it was years ago. Years ago it was like I didn't care, it was like, you're going to call somebody a name. What are you going to do about it? But today it's different. There's all the lawsuits and this and that, and you got to watch what you say and watch what you do. But that takes a little bit of fun away from it, I think. Um, but anyway, let's get back to you, Rich. Uh, if you had to pick a match, just arbitrary, I'm not going to make you go crazy thinking about it. If a good match comes to mind, which one would it be right now? Not your favorite, not the best, a good one.
From the old days, or just in
Yeah,
general?
old days.
Probably the match that Bruno fought Larry Zbyszko on television, and Zbyszko
Yep.
did the heel turn, which at that time it was just absolute shock. The match itself was good, and you could see weeks leading up to it,
Yeah.
because you could, if you were really a big fan and was following it closely and was following the storylines, you could see how they were building up to the slow burn of the heel turn.
Right.
And then it just happened. But the match itself was good because it started off as a wrestling match.
Right. And the thing is I don't know if you watched the episode where we talked about doing a Bruno tribute after the holidays. And I was lucky enough, I guess, to be able to reach out to Larry Zbyszko. Totally honored. He is beside himself excited. He wants to do the podcast about Bruno. And he told me himself, and I told him, I said, Larry, I said, it's funny because watching you wrestle, it was almost like he was another son that they didn't talk about. He wrestled like Bruno. He looked like Bruno. He moved like Bruno. He hit like Bruno. Just like David, And Larry said to me, he said, it's funny you say that. He goes, a lot of people said that to me. He said, but I patterned myself after Bruno because he was my idol and he trained me a lot. So of course you're going to pick up mannerisms and you're going to pick up and some people are just personality stealers, so you can actually become that person almost, but he said he was honored to work that closely with Bruno, and that particular match is one of the matches that he is constantly questioned and constantly asked about. Bruno, it was an awesome match. Bruno just went a little too deep, and man, there was blood everywhere. I mean everywhere. Back then, it was like wrestling progressed as well. I mean, it was like from popping some kind of thing in your mouth with pig's blood they used to use in it, years ago, to actually razoring and then coming in and doing something else. And now they're razoring again, but years ago, I don't know how they're doing it right now to make it so that you really don't see anything. But years ago, whenever a wrestler came in the ring with his fingers taped or his wrist taped, you knew he was going to bleed. It was that simple. But today, you don't see that so much. But I'm thinking there's a lot of times when the referee also has it and hands it to the wrestler. So, I don't know. Like, it's going better and better, I think. We're going to talk about the AEW in a minute. But I think the old times, I don't care what anybody says, the old matches to me were the best. They were always the best. They were always the most entertaining. They were always the most awesome. I don't know. Do you agree with that, Rich?
Oh, absolutely. And some of the classic heel turns back then, I remember them like they're yesterday. So
Yeah.
Spiros Arion turning on Chief Jay Strongbow. It's almost like everybody turned on Chief Jay Strongbow.
I know. Poor guy.
Peter Maivia turning on Bob Backlund, and then 2 weeks later he's in a tag match for Strongbow, and he turns on Chief Jay Strongbow, and I remember them like they're yesterday because the heel turns back then, when they happened, they really, really meant something. They were big, they were huge when they happened, and the way that the wrestlers were able to change not just their demeanor, but even their facial expressions to go into that heel mode. If you look at Peter Maivia like 3 weeks before the heel turn, he's a happy-go-lucky, smiling, and then when the heel turn happens, he's got grub on his face and he's got this mean look. And he really did it very, very well. Spiros Arion, the same thing. So he was the golden Greek. He was a fan favorite. Everybody loved him. I think one of the biggest failed heel turns back then was Victor Rivera. He just never really. He
couldn't do it.
There was something lacking. And he was managed by Blassie. Blassie tried to carry him as much as he could, but he really had no personality to really, carry it out.
No, he was a wrestler. He didn't really have a persona gimmick like a lot of wrestlers do, But it's funny you should say Spiros Arion. When I was a kid, and I've said this on multiple podcasts, I spent, and I don't know why. I have no bad memories of him, but only good. I spent so much time in the back with Spiros. I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was because he maybe had children and he missed them, or maybe he didn't have children. I don't know, honestly. But I spent, every time I went to the arena, he would just say to my mother, leave her here, and I would just sit back there with him. He'd come outside. Of course, I never went in the dressing room. I was too little, but he would come outside. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to that part of the arena, but you would come out of the dressing room before you went into the actual arena, and there was a side there that had like a bar, like an old bar. It wasn't active. It was just looked like an old bar, like with a thing behind it where I guess the alcohol would go or whatever. And he used to sit me up on top of that, and he would like lean his arm on the thing next to me, and we would just laugh, and he'd play games with me and whatever. And a lot of people like would walk past and say, "Who is she? Like, why are you?" He's like, "That's my girl. That's my girl." And I have nothing but good memories about him. I mean, I have a lot of bad memories about other things, but I have nothing but good memories about him. And he was always kind, always sweet, always so nice. I don't know what it was with him and me. It was weird, but I really liked him a lot. But then, yeah, the heel turn, I didn't really grasp at that time what was going on, But now the heel turns now, like you have Nikki Bella, who just turned on Stephanie Vaquer, and Nikki Bella hasn't changed anything. She's still that stupid, obnoxious brat attitude, where she was like that when she was a good person, a face. Only difference is she's not hugging Stephanie anymore. Now that she's a heel, which she's going to wrestle her today, now that she's a heel, she has the same demeanor, that same turn, and the same with her arm up in the air, and that same face, and that stupid baseball cap on backwards, and oh my god, she just grinds my gears. But it's like I said, like you said, there was a complete different persona from when you were face and when you were heel. Now not so much. It really isn't. Like, in other words, if Cody Rhodes were to turn heel, what do you think he would what do you think he would do? Do you think he'd actually have a whole heel gimmick? I can't see that. Do you, Jeannie?
Well, I'm not a Cody Rhodes fan, so I could care less. But
Right.
I've seen Cody as a bad guy, and I didn't like him as a bad guy then.
Right.
But I think he would be more like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, like just the anti-hero. You know what I mean? Not so much, where the fans are still going to love him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah, I
that
get
type of thing. I can't. Other than that, but it depends on how they turn him.
Yeah.
Which
I still think he's going to turn once he's done this hero champion gimmick that he's doing right now. Rich, what do you think about that if Cody turned?
When he was with AEW, if I'm not mistaken, he was this close to doing a heel turn. And the fans started booing him no matter what he was doing or no matter what he was saying. And
Yeah.
the fans really, really turned on him. But then he left, so it never really followed itself through. But I think that, and Jeannie, I'm not particularly a fan of Cody Rhodes either. In fact, I'm somewhat tired of him.
Yeah.
With
I was tired of him about 10 years ago, but anyway.
Well, even
I don't know if it's just because I can't stand his father, so it's switched on to him. But either way, I'm not a fan.
Well, when he was a bad guy the last time was when he was with Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr.
Right.
And he had the dark hair, and he was extremely underwhelming, to say the least.
Yeah.
There was nothing, and he tried different gimmicks with the Stardust, which was totally stupid. I think that I think there's a chance that Cody might turn heel. There have been signs pointing in that direction, but I'm not sure that he's actually going to go full heel. I think it's still to be determined. But just like you, Jeannie, I could care less one way or the other because he does nothing for me.
He go ahead, Jeannie. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say he I don't like him. I mean, I'm sure he's a marvelous human being, outside, but wrestler Cody Rhodes, I don't like.
Yeah.
And how many decades was it always, oh, well, John Cena's going to turn heel, and they wanted him to turn heel. and it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked.
He tried.
And he finally, tried the beginning of the year, and it just didn't, it wasn't. And I think Cody would probably fall into that as well.
Yeah, some people don't make good heels, and some people don't make good faces. Like, I don't know, like I couldn't imagine let's say somebody like Bronson Reed being a face. You know what I mean? There's some people that just are not meant for that. Cody is not meant to be a full-on heel, and neither was John Cena. John Cena, he wanted to be a heel because it's something he had always wanted to do from when he first started. Now, when he first started with that aggression, whatever the heck he was doing.
Thugonomics.
If he had just been a heel then and stayed a heel, that might have worked. But for him being the quote unquote John Cena and then turning heel, he couldn't even hit somebody with a belt. Okay. It was like, he was like almost scared to do it. And like, he just wasn't a heel, just couldn't be a heel.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to take you into AEW for a minute. Rich, we have obviously in 90 episodes, we couldn't have gotten your opinion on AEW. So what do you think of AEW? Do you watch it?
Yeah, I watch it, but I can't stay focused on it for any length of time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Carmela, you're a big AEW fan, right?
Okay. I am. And you can say whatever you want. Don't worry about it. You can say whatever you want.
No. Trust me, I will. I mean, I was just, I was just confirming that I remember you loving Will Ospreay and just overall speaking.
There he is. There he is. Yeah. I still love Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Yes. I just recall you speaking very highly of AEW. I'm not a major fan of it. I think that, well, first of all, I think there's too much blood, number one, especially on their pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. Their pay-per-views, and this is just my opinion, their pay-per-views are way too long. Now, you could make the same argument and say so is WWE, but at least with some of them, at least with the WrestleManias, they do at least spread it over 2 days. But you can have an AEW pay-per-view between the pre-show, that does have some matches on it, and the pay-per-view itself going 5.5 hours. And I think that some of the storylines do not interest me. I'm totally sick of the Death Riders, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Moxley, I think, comes across as a thug, or he was a thug, or at least coming across as that. He seems to be lightening up a little. I think that they are doing a slow burn on having the Death Riders turn on him because of all the times he's been tapping out lately. So I think some of the stuff is okay. I get a kick out of Mark Briscoe. My wife laughs every time Mark Briscoe starts talking. So if she's laughing, then that's okay with me, but he is pretty funny. Kenny Omega is great. Awesome. Just tremendous. So's Will Ospreay. The Young Bucks could take him or leave him. So now they turn face again over this last weekend with the pay-per-view. But to their credit, they went from being obnoxious to almost a comedy act.
Okay.
Yeah, the Broke Bucks.
Yeah, they were. That was funny. Yeah, that was funny. Now, when Jeannie and I watched one of the pay-per-views not too long ago, we actually were excited at the fact that there was 9 matches. Okay, it went from including the pre-show, it went from 7 o'clock till midnight. I personally love that. I can't get enough wrestling. But in the same token, if you reverse that, the WWE on their pay-per-views on Raw and not so much SmackDown, but they have a ton of commercials, a ton of breaks, a ton of interviews, and only maybe 3 or 4 matches. In the Netflix one, the Raw, is usually only a couple of matches. Their pay-per-views, again, going back to storyline, sometimes in the WWE, their storylines drag and drag and drag and drag, and they never stop. Now, in my opinion, the AEW, to me anyway, reminds me more of old school wrestling. The Bruno Zbyszko stuff. I personally like the powerhouse type wrestling that they do. The men and the women, like in the WWE, the women they wrestle good, but in the AEW, the women brawl. And I like that. I mean, again, this is only a personal opinion. I like that. I like the fact that the women are not spread out over 20,000 interviews, looking like they're going to try out for the cover of, Penthouse or something. I like the fact that the AEW women are strong and they act that way. To me personally, the AEW has gone back to old school, which is something I really like. It's not as modernized, let's say, as the WWE. Now, Jeannie, I had asked the same thing I had asked everybody. She watched more than a few AEW shows, and she's kind of like, not bad about it.
In just preferences, I like it better. I think it's a better product overall than WWE's product. But am I, gung ho? Oh my God, can't miss. No, I'm not there yet. Yet.
No, I unfortunately I do miss a lot of it only because Wednesday nights are like the best night of the two shows. Like I always compare Wednesday night Dynamite to Raw and Collision on Saturdays to SmackDown. The better of the two is Dynamite. Now that what's his name, Swerve is back, I really like him a lot, and I'll start going back to watching it more. What I do is like I get lazy and I tape it, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch it over the weekend, and then I do, and then I don't, or whatever. But I am so missing Will Ospreay. I am really missing him because him not being on the show, I think, is an obvious miss. Okay. Even if it's not just his wrestling to me is awesome. Okay. But he also comes out and he visibly acts like a PR person for them. Like, he'll come out and try to, separate people and try to talk to them and blah, 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 and this and that. I'm also a little bit over the diverticulitis thing with Kenny Omega. I like Kenny Omega a lot. I do. But I have diverticulitis, and I have never been punched in the stomach like that, but I don't know if that kind of contact can activate diverticulitis. It's more or less if you eat seeds or eat food that you're not supposed to eat that really activates it. Unless you've just had surgery, then that's a different story, But overall, like Jeannie said, I prefer AEW right now over WWE, not taking anything away from WWE. Rich, you and I and Jeannie, we grew up on WWF. I think WWE is like, WWF is like an old sneaker, it earned all of its holes and it earned all of its threads hanging. WWF was just like an old pair of sneakers that didn't really have a lot of holes in it, and stuff like that, less holes. WWE is a brand new pair of Nike or whatever, that never has a drop of dirt on it. And that's what I don't like. The WWE has taken wrestling to where it's so cleaned up as far as, people bleed. Yeah. But I'm saying the wrestling itself is not, it doesn't look spontaneous at all. It just looks like it's pre-done, premeditated, all the moves, whatever. And there's a lot going on in the advertising department as well with commercials and stuff. Then the WWE now has increased their prices yet again because they're convinced, and they could be right, they're convinced that the fans will pay anything to watch the WWE and to go see it in person. However,
they've been proven that for years.
Yeah. But recently, if you look at the statistics, very recently, the WWE's attendance and ticket purchases have been slightly going down. Because again, in this environment right now, it's hard for everybody to survive financially. It doesn't mean that you don't like WWE. It doesn't mean that you're not still going to struggle your butt off to save the money to go watch. But now, like even the WrestleMania as an example, WrestleMania is going to be this one is going to be in Vegas, but after this, supposedly it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. I mean, the Saudi Arabians will pay the money. They can afford it more than we can, but I don't see Americans going there. I don't see that happening. I don't see, and that's probably because why WWE sold WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia, because that's where they're going to make all their money, and it doesn't matter how high they raise the prices. People there will go. They'll find a way, or their country helps them with stuff like that, and they'll go. In the United States, they can see that their pay-per-views are slightly going down in attendance. And that's because no matter what it is, AEW, WWE, buying groceries, the prices are just too high. And people are just now like, I can't do it. That's like even with the pay-per-views. Jeannie and I split the pay-per-view the one time we watched it for AEW. I won't watch Survivor Series today. I'm not paying $30 a month, to watch wrestling when I already have ESPN2. I have everything I need. But even when, and that's what makes me angry, even when you already have the subscription, you still have to then pay for the actual entity's subscription. So you have to pay the WWE. It's like AEW too, though. I have Prime, I have HBO Max, but even if you subscribe to them, when you want to watch the pay-per-view, you have to pay with that company once. And I'm not doing that either with the AEW either. I'm not. I can find other things to spend $30 and $40 a month on, like feeding my family and stuff like that, because that's more important. But I think eventually they'll come to know that their prices are just a little bit too high, and it is what it is. I mean, as far as all that goes, but people like Jeannie always says, people are going to find a way. If it's something you really, really want to do, people are going to find a way, Rich, as an example, if you had the opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia to see WrestleMania, would you go?
Not with the prices they're charging.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's all about the prices. But I mean, other than that,
but it's not just the actual ticket sale. Okay. Right. It's the airfare, it's the hotel, it's the meals and souvenirs and what have you. I mean, instead of just taking granted in Vegas, it's the same thing. You got airfare, or no matter where it was in the United States, you still had to probably travel to get there some way. And, then you got lodging and rent a car if that's something, or well, now it's like Uber everything, but Uber, you still gotta do something.
Uber's very expensive. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Like sometimes now, like you're saying Vegas, like we would love to go to the Cauliflower Alley Club, and it's certain times of the year. If you book the flight at those times, you can get a really, really reasonable rate. Like I was looking at flights for last year for Cauliflower Alley Club, and the closer, believe it or not, the farther away from the event, they were very high. The closer to the event, they were very high. We're talking $500-$600 round trip. But for some reason, there was 2 months. I'm not sure what they were. I think April and May, maybe, or May and June, something like that. They were down to $100 and something for a round trip ticket. That's crazy for Vegas, But that's what I'm saying. You have to pinpoint that. But then don't forget, wrestlers are going to do autograph sessions and pictures, and that's going to be several $100s, which personally, I don't think anybody is worth that kind of money. I really don't. I'm sorry.
And then you got the Hall of Fame bullshit, and
exactly, and that's exactly what it is, because nobody has a real building. Nobody has a Hall of Fame building where you do that, and WWE never did. So there's like, even if you want to take a trip to Connecticut, let's say, to go see the WWE building, if it's still even open, and you want to see, all the people that are in Hall of Fame, it's like a piece of paper that has it written down, but there's no Hall of Fame, So I don't know, Rich, are you going to be watching WrestleMania this year from Vegas? Rich, can you hear me? I think he lost us.
Oh, now I can.
Okay. Are you going to be watching WrestleMania? No, we can't hear you now. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard this noise. I lost my AirPod connection. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
No, I'm not going to watch WrestleMania because I'm not paying $30 a month for ESPN Plus. I think it's just ever since TKO took over, it's become nothing except other than a money-making machine, and they're really not taking and they're really not taking into consideration the everyday wrestling fan. And I don't think that the everyday wrestling fan can monetarily afford to pay the kind of prices that they're charging. And I've noticed that in some of the more recent Raw and SmackDowns, if you look up in the cheap seats, there's empty seats now that there previously weren't. Now AEW is kind of the opposite, right? They were doing the big venues, and then they were getting maybe 3,000 fans, and then they got smart and decided to put their weekly shows in the smaller venues where they've been packing them in. Right. And I think it makes them look better perceptually too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because like when this first started and the AEW was in the bigger venues and you could see that there were empty seats, everybody blasted it all over the place. AEW sucks. Their seats are empty, blah, blah, blah. But now if you show anybody that some WWE venues have empty seats, there's always an excuse. Well, it was probably during intermission. People went to get food. Or it was probably when people were just coming into the building and it wasn't full yet. No, the pictures were taken during the matches. Okay. So it's possible. I mean, I know people are like WWE fanatics, and that's okay. But you have to also understand that something that you like may not always be 100% what you think it should be, period. I mean, you know, I've had people come at me multiple times because of my opinion of wrestling and my opinion of wrestlers. You know, even Jeannie and I have had multiple disagreements about, you know, stuff that she likes versus stuff that I like. But that's all okay, you know, but it's like some people, if you tell them, well, this happened at your venue or that's something you like, right away, they're ready to jump all over you. No, that didn't happen really, you know, but it did. So, you know, I think everybody's at a point now where they are struggling in one way or another. You know, maybe WWE will never actually struggle like that, but their ticket prices are too high. They really are. So now today is Survivor Series. Okay. I'm not a fan of the card. All right. I don't know what's going to happen with Brock Lesnar being part of that War Games. I don't know, like what they did with Logan Paul. They were all supposed to jump in the ring, and Logan Paul ran ahead of them, and they stayed back, and he got his butt beat like big time. Okay, now what was that? Was that a joke? Was that him running in too fast? Was that them starting to turn on him? Well, I don't know. Like, what do you think is going to happen, Rich, tonight?
I think that one of the Usos are going to wind up taking the pin. I think that based on what's happened over the last couple of months, that Jimmy Uso has really become the weak link out of all of them, where previously he was kind of on par with his brother. And I think that in order for the bad guys to maintain their heat, I think they're going to win the Survivor Series match. Now, I'll also tell you, Carmel and Jeannie, that I personally have a real problem with the fact that they even brought Brock Lesnar back, considering the fact that that lawsuit is still ongoing. And I think that is, I look at him now in a totally different light.
Absolutely.
I just personally think that it's extremely inappropriate that they even brought him back. And if they brought him back to pop a rating or to make some extra money, I just think it was a real Bush League move to do that. But I think that overall, to me, this is a very underwhelming card. There's 4 matches maybe. And because it's a War Games format, each of those matches between the men and women's War Games matches, they'll probably go close to an hour, just each one of them by themselves.
Yeah.
Each. I really, I'm really disappointed because you've got your two champions in the War Games, and so there's not even a world title match being defended at all in the Survivor Series. And plus, three of your main guys, when they talk about promoting the youth and everything, three of your main guys are in their 40s. CM Punk,
exactly,
Cody, and Roman, right? I think Cody's in his 40s, if not that late 30s. But in the meantime,
I think he's in his 40s.
Yeah, I mean they should be trying to get over the younger talent, and instead they're making it all about the older ones that have been around for a long time. And honestly, like, who wants to see John Cena fight Dominic Mysterio? I mean, seriously. Oh, and speaking of Brock, and speaking of Brock Lesnar, I had wanted to ask both of you this. Can you tell me what the purpose or what sense it made to have Brock Lesnar totally destroy John Cena during his last run tour? It just made no sense to me whatsoever. Like, Brock Lesnar needed that win.
I think they're getting, again, I think they're getting desperate. And what happened, see, again, and I am a mom. Okay, Jeannie's a mom, and you're a dad, and it's very difficult for me to see somebody who has a lawsuit pending against them of that caliber. Now, a lot of people say to me, well, he was never arrested. If he was never arrested, then he never did it, which to me is pure bullshit. I'm sorry, okay? Just because you were never arrested, you know how many people have murdered people and done horrible things that were never arrested? Doesn't mean they didn't do it, okay? I believe that in a case like a lawsuit of this caliber, all right, Brock should not have been back at all. As a matter of fact, there was somebody that had a sign up at one of the shows, and Brock stopped and looked at that sign. You could see that he read it and said, "You shouldn't even be here," or something to that effect. I don't think he should be there. I don't see anything good that he contributes right now with this going on. I never liked Brock anyway. Okay. Also, I know somebody personally who dated him, and he's not a nice man when it comes to women at all. Okay. So I can only imagine with Sable, why she's still with him, I guess, for the kids, but I don't know. It's just my opinion on it. I don't like the fact that he came in the ring and already his pants split. I don't like the fact that he already fell, and made it look like it was a shoot instead of a gimmick rather than a shoot. I don't like what they're doing with him in any way, shape, or form.
It made no sense, to go back to what Rich was asking, is it made no sense. It would have made sense. Well, putting the lawsuit and all that aside for a second, bringing Brock back for John Cena's farewell tour or whatever, if it led to a match between the two of them that for the title, or I can't even remember, I don't even think John Cena had the title at the time. He might have already lost it. But yeah, there was nothing. He came in, he beat his ass, and the two never spoke again.
That's what I don't understand.
It made
either.
no sense. It made no sense.
No sense at all. It would be different if Brock was the final match,
right?
He was built up, and like you said, if Cena went out with the belt and either he lost it to Brock or he went out with the belt, but Brock was the big guy, the one doing the final match. I agree. That would make a little bit more sense, even though I don't like it at all, but it still would have made more sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know why they brought him back at all. Like, I can't even fathom an idea as to why they brought him back. And like you said, Rich, with the wrestlers, with them promoting the older ones, what they're trying to do is they're trying to promote the names that people are familiar with. Like with Jey Uso, all he's got, I think, right now is the yeet stuff, coming into the ring, picking kids up,
which
jumping up
I don't
and down.
get.
I don't
get it. I don't like it. It's stupid. Stop.
Right.
Enough.
The word and the word yeet actually started out by meaning to throw something. Okay. But I don't get that either. But now he does all this yeeting, and he comes in the ring and he wrestles, and you could see he's still blowing up. You know, he's not 100%. He's not. Okay, now you got CM Punk, and I'm going to say this too. I don't know why they brought him back, other than to appease the people who kept yelling CM Punk for 10 years. Okay, CM Punk is doing nothing. In my opinion, he's not doing anything. He's even not as good as the old CM Punk. So he's there, I think, just to have the name so people can yell CM Punk, CM Punk.
He's there for the paycheck. He's there for
no, but I'm saying, why did they bring him back? You know what I mean? Like, he's not doing
to make money, because he like him or not, he puts people in seats.
He does, but I mean, in my opinion, he has nothing to offer anymore. That, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. You know, like now with Cody Rhodes. I happen to like Cody Rhodes. What I like the best about Cody Rhodes is the entrance. I love his entrance song. I love when he does the whoa and he does that. I love that. And I happen to like
but
him.
That's all he is. That's all he is. And for me,
and
the entrance, like you got to have more. You got to have more after the entrance than he doesn't.
That's just it, though. A lot of the WWE guys have the same moves over and over and over again. John Cena puts butts in the seats, like you said.
Yeah.
But he's got that same, oh my God, that same 5-knuckle shuffle and the you can't see me and enough already, you know? It's like it's the only thing he knows how to do. At least when he was a heel, he tried to hit people with the belt. You know, he tried to do some other things. But it's when you do repetition over and over again, and it's that repetition that constantly gets you to win matches, it gets to be enough already, you know? And that's what I think. I think, Rich, how do you think the WWE or the AEW can improve themselves in the future?
I think the WWE needs to offer more compelling storylines. The thing with the Yeet, I couldn't agree more. It's just 5 minutes of a waste of time, and plus then all the commercials. So it could take 10 minutes before the match between the entrance and the 3 commercials. So WWE needs to offer more compelling storylines. I think they're kind of winging everything right now. I mean, look at how the John Cena heel turn was a total failure, and they had to pivot to that. Okay, and you know, by the way, right, it took a John Cena heel turn for the fans to finally stop yelling Cena sucks.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so as far as AEW is concerned, I think that I would say the same thing in a different way. I think they need to offer more compelling storylines. I think that in some ways, take a look at who they brought in, who they even have commentating. I mean, it's like in the beginning, it's almost like, what were they trying to be? WCW Light #2. I mean, they've got Tony Schiavone as one of their play-by-play guys. I mean, the guy's a relic who was there for all those years with WCW. They bring him back. They bring back Taz. They brought in JR. You haven't seen JR, I'm assuming, because he's ill. Right. But they brought all these. I guess either people that were let go by WWE or just people that were from the past. I think they've done a good job at kind of building some of their own stars, and I'll use the Young Bucks as an example. And even though the Young Bucks and Omega and Ospreay, they have a history before AEW, I think they've done a good job at utilizing their character, utilizing them, utilizing the angles that they've been using. With one thing I did not particularly care for, and you mentioned that you like Swerve. One thing I didn't particularly care for that I thought was totally over the line was when he was feuding with Hangman Page, and they set the house on fire and stuff like that, and like that kind of stuff. There's just no place for that in wrestling. You've got children watching these shows, and now WWE in the past, even during the Attitude Era, they went over the line many times.
They did.
with the Brian Pillman with the gun scene with Steve Austin banging on the door, things like that. So they went over the line. But
they set a cross on fire too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. And didn't they bring out Stephanie like in a cross-like fashion during
like Jesus on the cross? Yeah, I didn't think that was appropriate either.
No, right. So I think both organizations need to build more compelling storylines. When you think about the storylines from our era and the way that they built them up and the way that they did the squash matches and the way that they would advertise to go to the arena, obviously that's a different model today, but it kept our interest. It built up storylines for the people. And you truly had a boundary between faces and heels. Now, if you're a heel, it's cool to be a heel. They really need to reestablish those lines. But the problem is that in many cases, the fans are sheep.
Exactly. Too many sheep in this country, let me tell you.
That's the one thing that and I agree with everything you just said, Rich, is a lot of what AEW has. I think they have great talent. I think, they do have good matches. But sometimes, like the issues, some of the issues that I have, like the Don Callis family. The whole roster is in the Don Callis family. Like it's not special.
No,
it's not. And I love me a bad boy. I love the bad boys, and it's just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Same like what you said with the Death Riders. I love the concept of it but it's getting a little, okay. And then, and plus I don't like that Mina chick.
Mina,
to me, she's supposed to be like a China with the X. You know what I mean? Like she's the, that amazing Amazon force, and she's just not.
Are you talking about?
You're talking about Megan Bayne, right?
No. Mina with the Death Riders, the girl.
Marina Shafir,
yeah, Marina.
Marina
okay,
Shafir.
Marina, Mina, whatever.
Yeah, she's supposed to be like a Ronda Rousey, and she's not. No, you're right.
No.
See, I see her more like she's trying to be China with the X.
Yeah.
Like that, like, she can carry her own and she can do this and she's just not, and she's not comparison, and she just needs to go. Yeah, but that's my own personal.
No, I agree with that. With her having this quote unquote jujitsu background and military background and blah blah blah, she really doesn't. What she does do is she does. Clearly, she has to wrestle with no shoes on, which is fine. But she does a couple of kicks. She doesn't know how to wrestle. She doesn't, she'll bang you into something, but don't promote her as a military person and a jujitsu and karate and all this stuff, and have her come into ring and do nothing. Like when
this next match, the coming up on the pay-per-view, it's her against your girl, Tony Storm, who I don't like either. It's just like, I don't get it. Yeah. Like this storyline is just, I mean, I kind of get it. Okay, she hurt her wife and all right, whatever. But even that, I'm sorry. They're wrestlers. You go in there, you get hurt. So get over it and move on. You know what I mean? Then get out of the business. Like, don't let your wife wrestle anymore.
So the Death Riders became the Death Riders from the incarnation that was originally the Blackpool Combat Club when William Regal was there, and it was Moxley and Bryan Danielson and I think Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castillo. So then they wind up and by the way, I thought that was also in very poor taste, putting the plastic bag over Bryan Danielson. I thought that whole thing was in very, very poor taste. And now they're the Death Riders. And, all they do is go around. There's interference. You can't ever have a one-on-one. To their credit, Okay, they had Moxley lose twice via tap out to Kyle O'Reilly. But a lot of the things that they've done have almost been kind of, this is AEW in general, has been kind of like a retread. So, right, they had Adam Cole, they had Kyle O'Reilly, they had Roderick Strong. So now they're trying to do a revival off of the, what were they called in NXT? The group that they were in NXT with Bobby Fish.
Oh wow, you're really hitting me with that one. I have no idea. I don't watch
Oh,
NXT.
oh, okay. Well, they were. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but they were this really cool group of 4 people, and they had some really cool background music. But then Adam Cole comes into AEW, does the same shtick, right? Walks around, puts his head down, and does the thing with the thumb, and then he walks around and raises his hands. Adam Cole, baby. I mean, it's almost like they're trying to take angles that were in previous organizations. Now, here's the other thing, right? You talk about Marina Shafir. Well, why don't they be creative and do some kind of an angle, right? Marina Shafir's married to Roderick Strong, so why don't they do an angle? And I mean, Roderick Strong and his group, right? They're tapping out the Death Rider guy, so why don't they do some kind of an angle with the fact that she's his real life wife? And I mean, they could do some really creative stuff with that.
Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed. It's funny you should bring that up. If you notice, there's any time. Okay, I don't know whether Renee had something to do with this, but anytime there's an incident where Moxley has to touch Shafir in any way, shape, or form, okay, like if she's running and he's trying to stop her, all he'll do is go like that. He sits on the ropes. He doesn't put his arms around her to grab her. He does like any other wrestler would do. He doesn't do anything like that. And it looks like, he's been told, don't touch her or I'll kill you, that kind of thing. But, there's so many things that, like you said, with wrestlers that are married. Personally, I'm not a fan of any couples being on the same roster. It just, to me, causes too many problems, I think, deep down inside, because then you're so arguments or whatever, and it's hard to come in the ring. And they're good at doing it, though. I think if I was mad at my spouse in the back and I came out into the ring, it would be very difficult for me to not show some kind of facial something. It's like when I'm here, like sometimes I come here and like, Jeannie, you too, and I'm sure Rich, you too, something hurts. Like, my bones are killing me today. The weather, whatever, but you don't, you come out and you just do what you got to do and you smile and you're like, whoa, whatever. I don't know that I could do that in the ring. I think the anger that I would feel would probably make me beat up my opponent even more, but, I do think that, I agree with Jeannie 100% on the Don Callis family. I happen to like Don Callis. I like his whole gimmick. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely. But I just
like
think that whole faction is too much.
It is. It's too much.
Now there's the workings of, the splitting up between Take a Shitta, as me and Johnny call him, and Okada. The other guy, Okada.
Fletcher. Okada.
No, yeah, Okada and Takeshita.
And what's his name? Kyle Fletcher lost his belt. Which I thought was awesome. I love that. But yeah, I just, it just seems there's too many. It's too much. It's just too much for me.
Yeah. No,
especially coming in
overkill. Yeah.
Coming in, the product's already been out there for 6 years, and right. I'm just coming in. So it's like, whoa, what's going on? Who are all these people and why are they together? I think
basically he's just trying to promote the fact, obviously, that he's trying to take over, of course. But yeah. But I agree, it's too big. It is too big. That would be like Paul Heyman having half of the WWE roster.
That's right.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too big. I'll tell you one thing. I do feel bad. What they're doing with Drew McIntyre. I think he's an exceptional wrestler. I really do. and I think he should get a damn belt and he should keep it for a while. I think he's kind of turning into, he's turning into a Miz versus Natalia. Like, he's part of the group, but they're using him for other things in the back. Like Natalia is a trainer. The Miz is now a trainer. They're doing other things, ambassadorships in the back, with other stuff where they don't wrestle that much. I think with Drew McIntyre, they're bringing him in for, I'm going to call it tie-ups, like loose ends. But I think they should give him a belt. I think he deserves it. I think he's a very, very, very good wrestler. I think he's got a good gimmick. I think he's great on the microphone. I think he's got all kinds of stuff going for him. I've always liked Drew McIntyre, always.
Me too.
But, but they're not doing anything with him. Like he's always getting suspended. He's always getting fired. He's always, which is fine. But do something with that. Make him come in and prove himself and give him a belt. How do you feel about that, Rich?
Well, Drew McIntyre should have been given the belt when they had the PLE in Scotland in his home country. Okay, I think that at that time Roman Reigns was champion. The WWE has a habit of having challengers in their home state, their home country, or whatever, and they don't even win in front of their home crowd.
No, that sucks. You're right.
Yeah, it does suck, and it really. It's really a big disappointment because the crowd wants to see their hometown person win. I think Drew McIntyre is awesome. I think that he carried the company through COVID when there were empty arenas and they were doing that, thing. I forget what they called it, the Thunderdome or something, right? And he won the belt right after COVID hit, because if I recall, he won the Royal Rumble in front of a packed house, right? I really think that the WWE has not done Drew McIntyre the right thing, and I agree with you. He really needs the belt. He is one heck of a worker. I think, didn't they have the incident recently where was it last year that he won the? Right, didn't he beat Damian Priest for the belt, and then CM Punk screwed him out of it, and so we had it for a couple of minutes. One of the things I wanted to tell you is it just came to me. So Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly in NXT were called the Undisputed Era.
Oh wow, I would never have gotten that.
And that was back when it was the NXT Black and Gold, when they were selling out the places in Brooklyn when they were having their own PLEs. And that's when Triple H was in charge of NXT. And NXT today is an absolute, in my opinion, a total shell of what it used to be back probably going back 7-8 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Triple H, that was his baby, and he was so proud of NXT. NXT was amazing back in the day. It really was. I agree.
It was,
and not anymore. I don't know what Shawn Michaels is even doing there with his stupid cowboy hat on. I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. And maybe he's not allowed to do anything. Who knows? But going back to Drew McIntyre, unless they've given him an incredible deal or an incredible amount of money to stay in the back, or to let them use him for A, B, and C, and he's okay with it, that's fine. But I think it's as far as the fandom, I'm going to say, as far as they go, I think it's a disservice, because he's good. He's getting to be close to 40 or in his 40s as well, but he's still amazing. He really is. And like you said, he's an awesome worker, and he does carry that company. He really does. I don't think it's Cody Rhodes that carries the company. I think it's people like Drew McIntyre that do. Cody Rhodes is, he's portrayed as the guy who carries the company. Okay, but I think it's people like Drew McIntyre who really bust their butts and are always available and are always there that actually carry that company. But, we'll have to wait and see.
I think the one thing that in this whole TKO takeover and all that kind of stuff, the one formula that doesn't seem to have changed is there's always the face of the company. Back WWF, Bruno, Bob Backlund, then Hulk Hogan forever, then John Cena forever, you know, and now I think they're trying to find that they want to keep that identity and of the face of the company for the future. And unfortunately, well, for me, unfortunately, you know, it seems to be Cody Rhodes.
Right.
You know, it's not going to be Drew McIntyre. You know, it's not going to be, and it is. And now from Cody Rhodes to the next generation, you know, should it be Logan Paul? In my opinion, yes. I think he's awesome. But it's not going to happen because I don't think he has that quote unquote look, that face of the company, you know, the big and the strong, and you know what I mean? And he's just, you know, unfortunately it doesn't fit that brand mold. Now they should take it that way, and it being different, something new, something bold, and let's break from the norm. But I don't see them ever doing that.
No, and it's funny you should say that, because honestly, I don't like Logan Paul, but he is an amazing athlete. He's an amazing wrestler. He really is, and they really should do more with him. Like what they did with him, was it last night or Monday night? My days are confused right now, but when they let him go in the ring, he got beat up by all 5 guys. You know, nobody went in to help him, and they poured his prime all over him and all this stuff. Like, I don't see what significance there was in that, other than there's going to be a turn. They're going to all turn on him. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this question then, because I didn't say it. I didn't watch. But is that, remember, I don't know if it was Davey O'Hannon or who it was. Somebody was saying, you know, oh, you messed up. Okay, you're going to get it. You know what I mean? Like a punishment for something.
Yeah. Well, that's what
it was
he
something
said.
like that.
Yeah, he said that he thought that might be what it was, but the worst thing to him was getting his prime poured all over him. I don't know what he actually did that was so wrong, but you know, it could be an initiation.
We never would. Yeah, we never would.
Yeah, it could be an initiation from them. You're right. It's happened before. I think that in WWE's case, even if they made a heel the face of the company, he would still have to wind up being a face, because everybody would make him that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right, Steve Austin.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody loved him no matter what.
Yep. Right, because he was going up against Vince, and you know, he was the ultimate villain, and blah blah blah.
And he was like, you know, he had that I don't care attitude. He beat up women. Like, I don't care who you are. You're in my face. You're going to get punched, or you're going to get, you know, kicked and stunned and all that stuff. But I do think that, like Rich said, I do think that they need to take the younger talent that's coming up from, like, as an example, and I don't know how you feel about this, but the guy they call Ricky Saints, who's Ricky Starks, you know, I don't like him. Okay, I don't. I never did. They are promoting the hell out of him, where he is probably going to beat Obafemi, which I can't imagine that. I really can't. I don't know, and I'm kind of glad that Obafemi's not in the main roster yet, but I kind of wish he was. But if he comes into the main roster, they're going to kill him. They're just going to kill him. They're going to squash him right down. Ricky Saints, I don't understand what kind of deal he must have with them, because I don't think he's worth the hype that they're giving him. I really don't. But that's going to be what's probably going to happen. Somebody like Ricky Saints is going to wind up being the new Cody Rhodes. You watch. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's what I think it's going to be. What do you think? Have you seen him, Rich? Ricky Saints?
Oh yeah, I saw him when he was Ricky Starks in AEW.
Yeah.
And there was this one promo that he did against MJF that was just absolutely magnificent. And I remember saying to myself, this guy is the next big thing. But then his character changed, and I think he turned heel when he was in AEW.
Yeah.
Then they kept him benched for months, continued to pay him, but he just disappeared off of television.
Right.
Then the next thing is he comes into NXT as Ricky Saints. And here's another example to me of somebody that is totally underwhelming. And I don't know, have no idea why they chose to put the belt on him. Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I don't know. And you got somebody like Obafemi, who is amazing. He's a big man. He's built like a, dear God, he's built like a truck, okay? He's got muscles on top of muscles. He is gorgeous, All right. He's a good wrestler. He has good microphone skills. I believe he does. And you're going to have Ricky Starks take him right down. And I don't see that. I just don't. And I don't think Ricky Starks, Saints, whatever, should be the face of any company. But again, money talks. And, it is what it is. I don't know. Like, I feel a certain way about people. Obviously, everybody else has their own opinions about everybody. I love Will Ospreay. I have heard people say to me, that Will Ospreay sucks. And Will Ospreay, he's just a high flyer. That's all he is. And you know what? And that's okay. Everybody has their opinion. But what I see in him is a promise, a future. Again, if you see these people, how they are in Japan, you see a whole different realm, a whole different plane of existence compared to when they come here in the United States to wrestle, whether it's WWE, AEW, they do not get to perform like they do in Japan. And I don't get that. I really don't. Now, that's like this feud that's coming up with Takeshita and Okada. All right. They're going to take this feud, which I think could be a tremendous feud. You got two awesome wrestlers there. And I have a feeling they're going to just squash it. And I don't like that. They're making Takeshita, who at one time was this, force to be reckoned with. And now that Okada is trying to be, they're making him the alpha, Takeshita's starting to take a seat back, which I don't like when they do that to anybody, because you got somebody like Takeshita who is a big, big force. And, they're going to make him go down to Okada. And I mean, Okada's excellent. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I think they're going to take something away from Takeshita, and I don't like that. I don't like when they do that. I think every federation should run their wrestling the way I want them to. I mean, wouldn't that be great? I mean, come on. We should have a weekly thing on Wrestling Radio Relived where we decide what's going to happen in the next pay-per-view, okay? And send it to them, and then they say, oh, wow, this sounds good. We didn't think of that. Let's do it. Let's try it, and let's see what's going to happen. And then we make all the money. Come on, I think that's a good idea. What do you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
We wouldn't make any money. They would just steal it and run with it, and you ain't getting shit.
Yeah,
just
like
saying.
the Crockett's did to us years ago, but that's a whole nother cup of coffee.
Just saying.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. I'm going to ask one more question before we close. What do you guys want to see in the future of AEW and WWE? Rich?
In the future, boy, that's a tough question. I think they need to establish who the true face of the company is. So for 3 years it was Roman Reigns. They think it's Cody Rhodes. I don't think it's Cody Rhodes. They need to establish a new face of the company. And when I say face, I don't mean good guy. I mean the face of the company. AEW, I would say that my understanding is that they may be close to some big TV deal. If it's with Warner Brothers or something. I'm sorry. That's not AEW. That's TNA.
All right.
All right. That's TNA. With AEW, I would like to see them concentrate more on serious storylines as opposed the comedy that they do. I don't find it to be funny, similar to when I say the Fred Blassies or the Lou Albanos, like that to me is comedy gold.
Right.
I think they need to get off of what they believe is comedy and get more serious. And I agree 1,000% with you, Jeannie, on this Don Callis family. I mean, they have, what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when the NWO had like 15 members to it.
Yeah.
And that was the downfall of the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it went from 4 to 15. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you wind up with too many Chiefs and not enough Indians, so to speak. But yeah, Jeannie, what do you think should happen in the future?
Well, what do I think?
What would you like to see?
Well, what I would like to see is it going back to, for both companies, you know, the whole streaming and all that crap, get rid of it, go back to network TV the way it was meant to be. And, you know, just have their shows, you know, on there with the, you know, exception of the, I call them pay-per-views because that's what they are. Right. And, yeah, have a pay-per-view, you know, and that's, you know, and just bring it back to more fan friendly as far as pricing and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Do I really think that's going to happen? No, I really don't. I think this is where it is, and this is where it's going to stay. So
yeah, this is how we
unfortunately,
got here.
what I want and what I would like to happen is never going to happen because
hey, I would like to sign a contract with every possible organization that there is and tell them what they're doing wrong. That's what I want for the future. But no, seriously, I do agree that with Rich in the regards of storylines, I think both organizations need to revamp their storylines, go with it for X amount of weeks or whatever, and then end it and start another one. Like, the only storyline I think WWE did well was the Cody Rhodes storyline when he won the belt. Done deal. It's over. I'm tired of hearing about it now. Tired of hearing about my dad this and my dad that. I'm tired of all of it. And it stopped, and you go on, okay? AEW, I love Tony Storm. I do, but I agree with Jeannie. In this particular case, okay, Mina clearly is not her wife, but in this particular case, they're stretching the bar a little bit. Not that I care. If she was married to Mina, that doesn't matter to me. But what I liked as far as Tony Storm, when she did the Marilyn Monroe thing on her own, I don't like her being part of an entity. I like her being just Tony Storm. I love Tony Storm. She's excellent. She's a great performer. She's a great wrestler, but I like her better as herself rather than being in cahoots with all these other people. She doesn't fit in. She is like me in that regard, where she needs to be top dog. She needs to be the one always talking. She needs to be the one, you know, and doesn't know when to shut up. But when you mix her with other people, it's hard for her to back down. And that's what I think. But I think AEW they both need to revamp. And I think, like Jeannie said, they need to become more fan friendly. They need to become a little bit more aware of what the fans may actually want instead of trying to make the fans want what they want. You know, again,
one thing that I noticed too with AEW with the fans, and maybe it went on before, when they were at the 2300 arena when they had that stay there, but now all of a sudden it's all how they used to do ECW. Now it's AEW.
AEW, yeah. AEW.
You know, and I don't know if it went on before that because I didn't watch, but
no, it didn't go on like that. No.
And I do think a lot of the fans like it. They do like all that blood and hardcore kind of stuff.
I do. I'm not gonna lie.
You know,
I do.
I do and I don't. I do, but I think there's, you know, things I don't like it because I know the effects of it down the road for these people. And it's like, why are you doing this to yourselves?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be able to walk, you know, in 20 years. Stop it. You know what I mean? But the actual match itself, I do like it. Do I want to see people set on fire? Not really. You know? Do I want to see people being drowned in a fish tank? No.
Or have a plastic bag around their neck and being strangled.
Yeah, you know,
that's a little much. That is a little much.
You know, but I'm not a fan of like barbed wire. I mean, do I think it's cool and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, but you know, the tacks in their backs and their, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God. But there's I think they're trying to give there's kind of something for everybody in AEW. You got the hardcore, you got the comedic, you know, you got like I love John Morrison and his group. I
Oh, I
can't
love
think of
that group. Yeah,
the
I do. I love that group. Eminem or M something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Eminem TV or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And you know, like I think they're funny. I think they're good. I think they're entertaining. I shouldn't say funny. I think they're entertaining.
Yeah.
I like them. You know, then you got the big boys, you know, and the Hurt Locker, We Hurt People, you know, and,
Right.
you know, and you got the women and you got the men and you got like it's seen a lot of technical wrestling, a lot of high flying wrestling, tag team wrestling. There's something for everybody, you know, which is what I do like. Where WWE, it's very vanilla.
Right.
You know, it's just the same old, same old.
Well, they did this thing too, I think, on Raw where they had wanted to see John Cena come out, and a midget comes out instead and gets the living daylights beaten out of him. Like, why? You know, what's the need for that? You know what I mean? I don't understand. I never understood it when they did that. You know,
and the other point I wanted, and I don't know if Rich, if you know this or not, but I found it pretty interesting when AEW had their Blood and Guts match. It was a whatchamacallit? It keep wanting to say Star Wars. It's not Star Wars. War Games.
Yeah.
It was War Games.
Yeah.
That
it was.
thing.
Yeah.
And which I love that. I love a good War Games.
Yeah.
And now and WWE, do you think WWE copied AEW, or do you think AEW just kind of got there first?
Well, I think that WWE basically took the idea off of WCW because or NWA because that's where the
originated,
original War
yeah.
Games
Concept
originated from.
Yeah.
And WWE did that with several of their pay-per-views, like Great American Bash, for example. NXT has a Great American Bash now. So they're either copying the names or they're copying the gimmick. And I don't think AEW is trying to copy WWE by having the two rings there, but I think it could be inferred that they were. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was maybe more coincidental in this particular case.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences, but yeah.
But I
think they both knew. And no, granted, I'm not saying that AEW said that this was their original concept.
No,
or
yeah,
that
they never said
WWE
that.
is saying that. No.
Yeah.
It was not theirs. But the fact that they're both having the same,
it's almost like in the same week. Yeah.
You know,
around the same
a week
area.
apart. I just find, you know.
Well, it's a fact too that WWE now will promote shows in the same country that AEW is promoting them at the same time, which, you know, is I don't know. See, it's not cool. I personally, I'll be honest with you, I could be a real pain in the ass in plain English, and I'm loud and I'm bossy and I'm all this other stuff, but I could never go out of my way to hurt somebody else, like on purpose. You know what I mean? If I get mad and I want to do something right then and there, it's like bang. But if I was a wrestling promoter, you know, I wouldn't go into another country and try to, you know, screw another organization out of their people or out of their money. Or I know that if you like an organization, you like it, it doesn't matter. It's just something I wouldn't do. The AEW doesn't do that to WWE. WWE does it to AEW. And I don't think that's right.
Well, apparently AEW is starting to do the same thing because I think they're promoting, there's billboards up or something. Wherever to promote AEW in the same town as where they're at tonight, wherever that is.
No, but I mean, are they actually having matches like a show?
No, but they have the billboards up promoting.
Yeah.
AEW
the WWE actually puts on a show counter them, which, like I said, I wouldn't do that because it takes people away from the other organization, but it also takes people away from yourself. You know what I mean? So if you're going head to head on purpose with a competitor like that, I don't know that I would do that unless I knew for sure that I could take the revenue over them. you know, where I don't know that they are actually doing that. Sometimes it's like cutting off your nose to spite your face kind of thing, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Rich, I got to tell you, and I don't know how, Jeannie, how you feel about it, but it seems like every time you're on our podcast, we talk about like incredibly crazy stuff that happened years and years ago. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's funny when Jeannie and I were talking at Thanksgiving about you coming on the show, you know, Jeannie said to me, "Do you have anything in particular we're going to talk about?" And I'm like, "No, we'll fudge it." And this is exactly what we did. And it turned out to be awesome. And I really thank you for that, because it's really good when you can fly by the seat of your pants and not have a problem doing it. We did that with the tribute to Paul. We're doing it clearly right now, because there's 3 people here that if you mention wrestling or you mention one person or one event, bang, like everything starts rolling. You know, oh, I remember this. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So Rich, you've got to come back again before 90 weeks.
Definitely more often. Absolutely.
I'd say maybe every couple of months. Yeah, definitely not 90 weeks. I'm so sorry it took so long to get you back. I love you, man. You're great. Well, you really are. You are. And it was an honor to have you on today. Okay, Jeannie.
It was an honor. It was an honor for you to have me on. I had a wonderful time.
It's always great. It's always great having you on, even though you've only been on a couple times. But I think it's because I talk to you so much that I feel like we're always connected, you know, and it's like we're always talking, we're always going back and forth. Rich and I talk, like, you know, on text, of course, at least a couple times a week. You know, we go back and forth, and I think that makes me feel like you've always been here, you know. But in reality, we do have to have you back. And again, I can't thank you enough. And I'm sure the fans will listen to this and they'll come back with corrections or their opinions, which I want, which is absolutely great. Jeannie, take care of yourself.
I will.
The rest of the week to go to sleep. Just sleep.
Yes.
Rest.
Oh, I will. Yep. That's the plan.
All right. Well, take care, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you guys next week. All right. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.